Oh, smattering. Golf clap. Wow, this is a big-ass stage. Okay. I don't want to go after Juan Carlos. It just, I don't have arm movement and orange, and I can't grow facial hair. Okay, settling. All right, I'm just going to go. Okay. Creative survival in the era of data and technology. Data and technology, what? I don't know about that. This is the green button, forward. There we go. I'm Tracy Wong from WONGDOODY, not to be confused with Wing Daddy, our hot wings venture, WONGDOODLE, a cheese snack, and WONGDOODY, our Hispanic division. So for years, we have been called so many different things. We kept a running list, and we stopped at about 1,500, which is pretty creative. Anyways, thanks for having me. And we're going to be talking about creative survival in the era of data and technology. So there's a lot to cover, but I'm only really going to cover two things. Easy to remember. You don't even need to take notes. One, what the fuck do we do now? I have no idea. How am I going to give this speech? Two, what the fuck do we do to be creative? Really tough question. Both of them are really tough, and we've wrestled with these for, well, years. We've seen a lot of acceleration in the past 2 or 3 years, and we're still wrestling with them. So I have answers, just not all good ones. So let me just go ahead and get started. So, first question, what the fuck do we do now? I know what we used to do. We used to do that thing. Things have gone from this to this. Technology, we have been invaded by technology. Technology, data is pervasive in everything that we touch and do, everything. So in the past couple of years, I find myself listening to these certain terms and they start to come out of my own mouth and I don't know what they mean. So here we go, AI, machine learning, end-to-end, D2C, digital transformation, cloud computing, digital migration, UX, UI, big data, thick data, data stacks, data lakes, data pods, blockchain, DMPs, agile DevOps, agile platforms, distributed agile. So this is the stuff that's starting to come out of my mouth. I wanted to go back a little bit to no, this is not modern day Ben Franklin. This is my old boss, Jeff Goodby of Goodby, Silverstein & Partners, who I still consider to be one of the great creative agencies of our generation. Goodby said this a couple years ago after he got back from Cannes, where he was some grand poobah judge. And he said, it used to be that the business was about doing things that were big and famous and mind-blowing. Everybody knew about them. You could get into a cab and find out in a mile or two whether you mattered in life. Well, that's Goodby. Just by asking the driver. Your friends all knew what you did all day. Now we do things that are technically popular and important, which is good. Ingenious content delivery systems, customized messages, coordinated interactive installations, and astonishingly targeted things that chase us all down like wild dogs. But when I get home and to try to tell people outside of the industry, their eyes dart back and forth in blankness and even pity. So he said, nowadays, Cannes is more like a plumber's or industrial roofing convention. No one knows what we do anymore. So if Jeff said that, I kind of confer. And really, for me, it's like as I look at the game has really changed. It used to be that we were playing checkers. Now I feel like we're playing three-dimensional chess. We're no longer in the business of solving market and communication problems, which is a fairly small set of things you have to do with a fairly small set of media forms. We are now in the business of solving complicated business problems with technology. And I'm sure we all read these headlines and they're pretty scary, and because a lot of them are true now. Why the traditional ad agency is the dying breed, it's the end of ad agencies as we know it, where are we gonna go next? Fire, 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 danger Will Robinson. Global consultancies are buying up agencies and reshaping the brand marketing world. We're seeing this all over the place. The business is in decline, predictions, the end is near. Well, it's not near, it's a transition. We're going through this, but we're all struggling with this. But what we found for us is CX, customer experience, is the new battleground. By next year, customer experience will become more important than the product itself. Wow, experiences that brands deliver to consumers. 89% of US consumers are willing to move to a competitor due to bad customer experience. This is something that brand communications or an ad, an outdoor campaign, or TV campaign cannot solve. So the world is much bigger than communications. The CMO's job description has completely changed. Our clients, 86% of CMOs believe they'll own end-to-end customer experience by 2020. The CMO is no longer simply the brand champion who spends money, who uses advertising to accomplish goals. In this era, customer experiences will trump campaigns. Crazy shit. So that means our job description has changed too. It's vastly different. We're no longer in the business of solving marketing and communication. We're in the business of solving, again, complicated business problems with technology. So just sort of a sketch of where our business has gone in the past, well, I'd say 5 years. So then we did traditional advertising. You know, TV campaigns, outdoor campaigns, stuff like that, brand campaigns. And now that's about 30% of what we do. So if I start, let me start in the middle with the big magenta thing. We do retail experiences nationwide for T-Mobile, connecting physical to digital, and I'll go clockwise. We still do some brand work, brand campaign work, outdoor intelligence for Amazon Web Services. As we move up, we're now prototyping the future of insurance through different platforms and how that gets delivered to consumers. That green thing, now we're doing retail innovation for banks on the near future, on what to do with their bank branches. Like, okay, people don't come in to do banking, so how are we going to reinvent the experience because we have all this real estate? At the very top there, now we're doing work. This is a thing we're doing for Adidas, which is a loyalty program that, again, connects mobile to retail. TV, we're doing social campaigns, that blue box. The laptop thingy is a digital portal that we're doing for Citibank. And that involves big CFOs, big companies who want to know where their finances all over the globe. So we're doing that now. And then finally, we're doing work for Honda. Again, bringing promotions, bringing different kinds of information about products to different experiences. So we're doing all these crazy things now. It's nuts. And we found that the definition of creativity has changed. It used to be that creativity was kind of a thing. It was like a TV commercial. Like back in the day, it was like, that's 1984. That's creative. That's creativity. That's a thing. And now it's a process. And it could be by a thing. It could be anything. So now creativity in the world that we see it could be buy online, pick up in store. That's an expression of creativity. So really, it's anything, any customer experience enabled by technology. So as I sort of look at this on a bad day, I'm going, this is getting really, really complicated. And sometimes it feels like it's a lot less fun. To Goodby's point, it's important, and it's relevant, and it's changing the world, but it is really, really difficult. Oh yeah, this headline just in. Somebody sent me this article yesterday about more about the death of advertising. JP Morgan Chase just announced a deal with an ad tech company to have AI write marketing copy. So you art directors are not far behind, and you creative directors are not far behind that. So Terminator is going to be writing your shit soon. All right, so let me move on to the next part and take a drink. Dry mouth, please hold. What the fuck do we do to be creative? I don't know. Please have some answers. This is the not good answers part. Where are all these cooks coming from that are now in my kitchen? I'm a creative director. Who are all these people in the meeting? I don't even recognize 75% of them. You guys, yeah. Comedy has its roots in tragedy. Okay, you guys, smattering of laughter. So this actually was from a recent assignment that we did where we were trying to connect retail to digital. It was a crazy, hairy-ass project. But I started to count all the people that were in the room, and this was sort of it. Digital creative director, executive creative director, that was me. Creative director, UX lead, senior digital strategist, associate creative, project manager, digital designer, art director, account director, market strategist, senior producer, copywriter, UX designer, digital strategist, a junior account executive, CX lead. They're new. Technologist, account executive, producer, programmer. Oh, shit. Okay. And it's somebody's job, my job, to try to get everybody aligned. So my first piece of advice for you creative directors is get all of the cooks to stick to the recipe. If you can go back to the basics and the foundations, you can try to simplify the process. The process, seemingly, again, my chart with the Terminator face, like complication, complexity, it's about boiling things down and making it very, very simple. Because at the end of the day, I will tell people, here's the recipe. We got to stick to 4 questions. That's it, 4 questions. Here are the questions. Who, what, where, and why? And, this is just basically strategy stuff. But really, really simple. And I said, okay, let's just go back to the recipe. Who? Who is our target? Who really is our target? It's not the bosses or the corporate overlords. It's the people who are going to engage or buy the product. What? The strategy. Strategy is the plan. We all know that. Where? Used to be just media forums. Where are we going to find or engage? Now it's about the context in which we engage people. It's not just an outdoor board, but it's like where? Where are we going to find them and how are we going to engage? The most important one is the why, the insight. That's the magic key. And I'll get to that in a few minutes. So just stick basically to those 4 questions if you can answer them. Because it used to work in advertising. It will work for nasty business problems that require technology. Thank God. So I want to talk about tires. I want to go over a little case study that we had involving all of these cooks in the kitchen and the problem that we recently dealt with. So one of our clients is a seller of tires on the West Coast. And when people think about tires and having to buy tires, this is sort of what they think about. It's like when they get a flat. Oh shit, now I gotta go see that dude, Elmer, and I gotta crawl through the dirty tires and I don't wanna go to the bathroom, no. But our client is a company called Schwab. And anybody who's east of the Rockies probably think Les Schwab is a French tire company and super expensive. But Les Schwab is a guy from Prineville, Oregon, who used to wear a big cowboy hat. And Les Schwab started this tire chain in the 50s, up and down the West Coast. So in established markets, it's the place in Portland and Seattle and parts of California where your grandparents went, you went, on and on. But in newer markets, as they start to roll towards the Rockies and over, it's like, again, they think Les Schwab is a French tire company that's really expensive, but they're not. So how do we get them to think about tires? So, and how do we solve the big business problem, not the marketing problem, but the business problem? No one knows who they are. How are we going to get cars in bays? They say cars in bays, that's all we want. So we said, okay, new markets, got an issue here. Let's go back to the questions. Because again, we're trying to solve this problem, not just with marketing people, but with tech and data people in the room. So let's go to the 4 questions: who, what, where, why. And here are the answers. In 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 words. So who? Moms. Not the tire geek guys, but moms, because I think statistically speaking, Mothers make 86% of all household buying decisions, of which tires is one of them. Mothers pick the tires, if you can believe that, statistically proven. What do we want them to do? We want them to think about tires. Nobody thinks about tires until that weird light comes on, like the squished up squid, or it's like, you get a flat. That's a problem. We needed people to think about tires, moms specifically, before there was a problem. Now, where do we want them to think about it? It's like, well, we need to engage them in local trading areas, because once you get outside of a mile or two of a Les Schwab, they're not going to go there. They're going to go where it's convenient. So how do we engage them in a radius within 2 miles of hopefully where they live and where Les Schwab is? And why would they think about tires and why would they think about Les Schwab? Because they're anxious that there's something wrong with their tires. So this is how we went about solving the problem. Okay, so create anxiety. Oh my God, am I going to get a flat? How worn are my tires? Think about a local trading area where we are. Think about driving the kids to school, shopping, coffee, this, recreation, taking the dog out. Start thinking about all these things. So we said, let's not worry about what they did in the past, direct mail, radio, TV, and blanket the area. Let's try to hit them and make them start to think about it. So what we did was, sat down with the market strategists and sat down with the technology people, because there was this thing in Les Schwab where, in the stores where you can drive over these railings, and in about 6 seconds, you can get a readout on pressure and wear on all your 4 treads, alignment, and braking distance in 6 seconds. We said, can you put these out can you take this out of the bay and put them in a grocery store lot? Yeah, we can do that. Okay. You got technology? How do we make that to drive anxiety? So this is what we ended up doing instead of a marketing campaign. We created for them what we call a 6-second safety check. So basically, we took the things out of the bays, you drive over them, whether it's right after you pick up your kids. Oh, I need to think about this. Do you have 6 seconds? I have 6 seconds. Or at crowded strip malls or grocery stores, you drive over, and it will give you a readout. You got to give me your email address on exactly what the inflation for each tire is and the tread wear. These things have laser sensors. On all 4 tires, it immediately calculates braking distance by what those tires and the tread are telling them. And it measures alignment, because alignment has more to do with tread wear, the second most important thing after just driving on them a lot. Recommendation is, front left tire is worn beyond a safe driving level. Replace immediately. We like that. So anyways, they get this. It's an activation, not an impression. All about safety, ties to the brand promise, memorable, ownable. So again, that's how we were able to take that problem, answer those 4 questions, and go right to the heart of it. So that was our deliverable. We said, don't do a radio or TV campaign, do this. Second thing for your creative directors, create a democracy. Okay? Create a democracy. Democracy's in trouble. Yeah, all right, that's another talk track, sorry. So let me go to the opposite of a creative democracy, which is a creative dictatorship. Now, this guy at the very top, that's all of our old bosses who are really bad. So we all know how this thing goes. We're all trying to mind read the boss. When I used to work at a big agency years and years ago, it's like, endless stream of writers and art directors bringing in their foam core ads to show to the creative director, takes the scepter, dead, alive, maybe, get out. Bring in the court jester to go deliver them to the client. So our job was to mind read the dictator. The dictator makes creative decisions solely on ego and solely based on subjectivity. Why didn't he like it? I don't know, he doesn't like green. Okay, great, fantastic. So this is a dictatorship, deciding on ego. And that is a problem because, the humanity, it's like we have no idea. The creative process is completely broken. Bad, bad, bad. But in your agency, the higher you are as a creative director, the more you are that person at the top that decides how things are going to get decided and leave the agency. So this is the model we had. And as the executive creative director of the agency, I'm the one who had to do the self-checking and go, all right, am I making decisions that are egoless, not based on subjectivity, sticking to the strategy, and willing to listen to people, empower everybody around me to create what I call a democracy, so everything's focused on the idea. And we go, oh, we do that all the time. No, it's really hard to leave your ego at the door and be objective about it and get everybody involved. But it's really, really important these days to get everybody involved because this process is so much more complicated than what it used to be. Because now, green button, you need to lead by example. So for your creative directors, again, be egoless. When you walk in the room or walk in any kind of a meeting where you're discussing ideas, you have to check your ego at the door. I know it's like, yeah, I do that. Yeah. Some are better at it than others. But it's really hard. It is hard. 2, what you need to do is you need to clear the lanes for schmees. Subject matter experts. So you see the people around the middle of that thing. There's a lot, again, these are all the chefs that are coming into your creative internal review. It's like, if you're solving these things, not just creative marketing problems, but big problems with data stacks, you're gonna need a lot of subject matter experts. You rely on them to bring their discipline to that room to help make that decision. You need those people. So you need to clear the lane so everybody is empowered to participate. Listen with an empty mind. If you only remember one thing out of this whole talk track, it's this one, listening with an empty mind. Yeah, listen. No, open mind different than empty mind. So this is a very quick drawing of what I mean by empty mind versus open mind. So empty mind suggests that, oh yeah, the door is open, but the room is full of shit. I see this all the time when creatives go present work to clients, the clients start tearing their stuff down, and the creatives are like, oh yeah, I got an open mind, but it's like the thing, that guy's a bastard, he doesn't get it, he's gonna kill it, he's screwing up my career, what a jerk. Here's my responses, and I'm not listening to anything. The room is completely full of shit, there's no room for any thought to go in. Open mind, what the Buddhists call beginner's mind. You walk into a task, you know nothing about it. I have no preconceived notions, no ego, no subjectivity, completely open, letting everything in and then evaluate. So really, really important, empty mind versus open mind. And last but not least, don't be an asshole. That's a pretty simple rule, but I put it up there for a reason. I want to talk a little bit about data, big data, which is incredible and awesome in the truest sense because of the size and the mass of the stuff out there. But as of yet, we're swimming in a sea of information and thirsting for knowledge. And as big data gets activated, it starts to get a little creepy. So there's that problem too. So I want to talk about the differences between big data versus thick data. Now, what the heck is thick data? Thick data is simply anything that identifies insights at scale. So more about the why part, okay? So big data can only quantify human behavior. It cannot explain motivations. It cannot arrive at why or what if. So big data makes correlations, but cannot explain causation. Big difference. So I want to talk a little bit about another thing that we just worked on for JustFab, fashion subscription service. Online fast fashion brand with 16 million active members. So this is a story about trying to develop some kind of agile insights to give us some thick data to help the client. So here were the issues. So JustFab, really good at big data. They have a super robust CRM system. They know what's going on all the time. Obviously use that data to inform what to do next. So they started to see certain patterns in some of the younger shoppers. 40% customer base lagging in sales. So it was like 60% really good, 40% not so good. A lot of them, 40% were mothers. And of that 40% where they were lagging, they were buying more shoes and not apparel. Oh, okay, so what should we do with that? So big data said, change the product. They were dead set on saying, okay, we're losing sales in apparel. We need to completely revamp or get rid of or do whatever. We need to revamp the apparel line. Shoes are doing fine. We said, whoa, wait a minute. That's a big decision to make. Yes, you got all the data, but we don't know why. Can we just do something with this? So a few years back, we started to develop what we call an Agile Insights practice. We call it the motherboard. And what we're able to do is we are connected with thousands of what started off being moms who could give us almost instant qualitative data immediately through surveys and interviews. So we go ask a question, in a day we'd come back with hundreds, thousands of responses and start to see patterns. Instead of, as we're all accustomed to, oh, we'll do a focus group, which will take 2 weeks to set up, and then we'll get 10 people at night in some strip mall, and we'll get the results back in another 2 weeks. No, no, no. This is instantaneous and fairly immediate, and you get a great sample at scale. So we took it to the motherboard, to the people who specifically use Just Fab, and we asked certain questions. And this is what we got back. So we asked why and what if. And what we got back was really no mention of apparel style, or the fact that things were wrong and they needed to revamp anything around apparel. The aha was it was all about fit, because a lot of the fact is a lot of clothes just didn't fit. So there were a lot of returns, and after a certain amount of time, they didn't want to deal with it anymore, especially the young mothers who they didn't have any time to do it. So we started to build programs around that, of which the most important was probably a fit guarantee. We say, all right, get it, it's going to fit, fine. So that changed everything. And they decided not to overhaul their apparel line and simply change the experience. The big data said change the product. The thick data said change the experience. Really, really made a big difference. The why. Last thing I want to talk about is human experience. Elevating the human experience should be our mandate. What the hell is human experience? So we like to say turning customer experience into human experience. So what does that mean? So, I mean, in an oversimplified way, the way they had to explain it to me, CX plus creativity, what we do, gives you a more human experience, gives you HX. So consumers' high expectations in the presence of disruptive digital technology made experience a force multiplier for revenue growth. But now that CX is mired in sameness. We got a pattern here. CMOs need to find a new growth elixir, creativity. Really, really important. Like, shh, that's what we used to do. What the fuck? Still matters. Yes, it still matters. Companies must embed their brand's purpose and values within a tech-filled solution through creative experiences to differentiate. Digital sameness is pervasive and prevents consumers from distinguishing one experience from another. Technology has become a commodity, Terminator, while culture, creativity, and strategy make all the difference. So now we're back in the game. That is awesome. So quite simply, so building these human experiences for us is, can we find thick data? Can we find the why? Can we find those insights that can drive the creative answer on a technological platform and bring it to life? That's what we do now. And now it's a lot more fun. It's complex, but it's fun. So I want to show you one more quick example that we did recently. Very simple exercise. We were talking to our clients at T-Mobile. We do a lot of the retail, and we were having some conversations with the digital products people. And they had said, all right, well, so it's like you pull up the app and see how much data, messages, it gives you what you've got left. And it's like, great, we've got this, gives you the information. But they admitted to us, it's like you guys do all this brand stuff, and it's like T-Mobile is one of the most, if you could think about this, people hate wireless. Yet people some even love T-Mobile? How is that possible? They've done a really good job with creating a brand in all experiences, well, except for this one, that talk about being rebellious, breaking the rules, we're there for you, things like this. It's really stuck. So the digital products people said, hey, you know what? It's like, there's no brand in this. Can you help us inject brand? We said, yeah, we could do that. Because again, here is a customer engagement or experience. Here's an app that gives you important information. but it doesn't talk or feel like the company. So how do we apply creativity? In a very simple way to get us to more human experience. So it really wasn't that difficult, but it was a big aha for us and for them, which is okay. Let's add a little bit of color. Oh, magenta, surprise. And let's put some copy in that has a little bit of rebellious, breaking the status quo T-Mobile stuff. So I've got 3 gigs left of unlimited, so go crazy. You know, imagining the words so go crazy on an app, okay, great. You know, text on and on and on. 187 minutes of infinity plus 1 minute. You know, you've got 10 gigs, you've got some room to play. I mean, it just was more fun and more playful, but a really, really simple exercise. And again, that's what we're trying to do now. How do we find a role for what we do in all the forms that we're now finding ourselves in? So just a real quick recap. What the fuck do we do now? Okay, we're playing 3-dimensional chess, not checkers. Okay, put your math hat on, okay. It's about experiences, not communication. And the definition of creativity, that's my argument, has kind of changed. Like, what's that form? It's not a thing, it's a process. And 2, what the fuck do we do to stay creative? So again, quick recap. The 4 simple questions. Who, what, where, why? Target, strategy, context, insights. And especially the second point for you, creative directors, is creating a democracy, an environment that empowers everybody and all your schmees to work on these problems together. Because if you get everybody aligned, you can solve anything. Anything is possible as no one cares who gets the credit. But when ego starts to seep in and subjectivity, you're fucking doomed, especially with a room full of chefs. Thick data over big data. Again, why and insight's really, really important. And last but not least, turning that customer experience into a human experience. Again, it's like what we used to do back in the day, how to turn an ordinary ad into something that would connect with human truths that people could connect with and find emotions around. So you get all this done and it's like, ta-da, easy peasy, you're shitting rainbow, it's awesome. Thank you, that's it.